Hey, good morning.
How are you?
Well, doing well in these times.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm glad to hear that. I feel the same. I'm happy that it's Friday. I feel like we've had a good week. Sun is out, finding things to be thankful for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm so happy to have you here today. This is our second recording of the Rosie Report, where we're talking about the future of work within the marketing and advertising industry specifically. And, you know, Scott, as someone who I've gotten to know over the last few weeks, I'm so happy to have you today because I love your perspective based on your experience transforming HR organizations. So for those who don't know Scott Mason is joining us from New Jersey today. And Scott has an incredible career and loads of experience in helping large organizations transform their org structure, org design, the way they think about work, traditionally working through the HR department and partnering really closely with the HR department. So as a business that's doing the same, primarily through the marketing department, it's been really fun for us to get to know one another and see where the kind of intersection is, right? So thank you for being here.
No, thanks for having me. And I've greatly enjoyed our conversations. They've been inspiring and engaging. Because, you know, you asked me how I'm feeling first and foremost. I mean, these are unprecedented times, you know, and I'm just by nature, I'm a optimistic extrovert, right? Yeah. So if you put that into a situation where we're, you know, in kind of a quarantine for 6 weeks, I get a lot of interaction from my colleagues every day, like you know, I'm sure you're on phone calls, Zoom calls, pretty much all day long. So I feel like I get some of that fulfilled, but even for me, you know, I'm missing the personal connection, you know, with my colleagues, with my peers, with my clients. So, you know, I'm ready for what this new normal is going to look like, and I'm excited to be helping organizations figure that out for themselves. So,
yeah, I agree, and I think like for me, I'm an introvert, which surprises a lot of people. I really like having kind of alone time to recharge. But even for me, I'm like, man, I just want to like give somebody a hug. Yeah, like I just want that like human touch. It's been so long. I'm like, it's okay. It's been long enough. The first few weeks, I was like, oh, this is giving me a moment to recharge. And now I'm like, okay, I need some sense of normalcy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So you know, it's interesting to just, you know, how people are adapting both personally and professionally to this. I mean, you know, I feel for those that are taking on so many different additional responsibilities. You know, work's, you know, demanding for most people. Home life is usually demanding, and then when you overlay both of those at the same time, it creates some complexities and challenges that people have risen up to. But I think people are getting tired. You know, I think they're getting a little bit spent and looking for a little bit of a break. Because I don't think anyone's taking a break. I've not heard really anyone say, you know, I'm off this week, I'm taking vacation. Like what does vacation look like when you're confined to your home? So I think we'll reach a tipping point.
Yeah. You know, we actually ended up closing our office next Friday. We're like making it an informal holiday because people need a break, you know, whether you're just staring at a wall, whether you're like, I'm like, if you need to go sit in your car and just have some alone time, or you want to plant a garden, or you want some actually like focused, dedicated time with your family, please go do that. Like we can't carry on at this pace.
You know, I think what you're doing is really smart, right? So as a leader, you know, of your organization, you know, you have that decision to make, you know, and I think it sends a message to your organization before all of this, you know. So as part of my own work, which is Life's Work Associates, where, you know, not dissimilar to your organization, but I collect people who are experts in the areas of HR, talent management, learning and development, and we present them with opportunities to do their life's work every day, right? So that's kind of the core of what we do. In addition, I work with an organization called the Future Workplace. So we're an HR research and advisory firm where we have 45 member organizations, some of the top branded organizations in the world, and we're helping them think about, well, what is the future going to look like? And we've been doing that for a decade. And now it's more essential than ever before, right? And one of the trends we just had a meeting kind of prior to this happening, and it was led by one of our members, PwC, and they were looking at worker well-being, right? So workplace well-being, and what you're describing there, you know, as the head of the organization is getting a temperature check and saying, you know what, we all could use this right now, and I'm going to I'm gonna mandate it, right? So sometimes leaders will say, Scott, take off if you need to, if you need to address anything, you need to feel like you need to step away. And then, by the way, I might send you a couple emails during the day or however.
Yeah.
And that's not really stepping away, but you saying, you know what, Friday, guys, we've been doing great. We've been really, working hard to support our clients, and we've been balancing all the juggles that we're talking about. So for you to dedicate that time, I think it's great. But what I'm seeing trending coming out of this, you asked me a question before, is like, how can HR prepare organizations for what this future is going to be? And I think it's going to be more human.
Yeah.
And it's going to be more of a human experience. So we're doing some research right now. We'll probably be publishing some articles. And it's not just the well-being, which is absolutely critical and important, but it's also how organizations will adapt to this, right? So there's many organizations that were reluctant to work from home. So the whole idea of, HR is uniquely positioned because, people are organizations, right? And HR has that focus on the human aspect of organizational performance. So not only is HR going to have to figure out how do we bring people back to whatever this is going to look like safely, right? So they have that obligation to think about the safety and well-being of their employees. I think there's an opportunity to have more of a flexible and intentional work environment, meaning letting individuals personalize, when can I come in and when should I stay home? And how does this balance my blended work and life that's never been more closely aligned than it has been for the last 6 weeks? So I think HR is going to lead the way in helping to figure out what does that look like for the organization while making sure the organization still performs to the level that it needs to, because there's obviously going to be a focus of performance where many organizations have been negatively impacted by what's been going on. So again, I think HR is really in a unique position to look at the caring of individuals as humans.
Do you think, that there could be some friction, right? Because I'll tell you, I've been talking to our clients, a lot of whom are Fortune 100 brands, and I'm hearing a mixed bag, right? Some people are like, the leadership at this organization cannot wait to get things as close to as they used to be as humanly possible quickly. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I was talking to a large social media platform yesterday, and they said, we're now planning in 7, 14, and 21 day windows. Nobody's looking 30 days out anymore. They're actually worried about losing some of the long-term strategic, thinking and process because we're in such a reactionary mode. So I wonder if there is going to be this friction. This is a huge change for big legacy organizations.
It will be. And I think it'll be performance driven as well. So I think if you think about who may be most rigid, it's those that have been around maybe the longest, right? So they're, in senior positions. But I do a lot of executive coaching. So I'm working with executives through this time. And, to many of them, they've commented directly that their life has never been better. And when they're talking about their whole life. Have they been working a lot to try to navigate these waters? Absolutely. But have they been on a plane every day? Have they been commuting an hour and a half? And they're finding ways to use that time, right? So, I'm hearing, I'm more productive than I've ever been.
Yeah.
And they worry about a little bit about, making sure that they're engaging with everyone in the traditional format. So they'd have the shift and be more intentional in terms of, having one-on-ones with their team, making sure they're checking with people if they haven't heard from them, making sure that they're providing the support. So they're trying to gear more over the top in that capacity. But for them personally, they're reflecting upon their family and what that life is like and how this has kind of reset them in terms of what's most important or purposeful for them in their life. So I asked the question to all of them. I said, well, how do you want to purposefully plan what this reentry and what this new normal is going to be for yourself? And some of them are referring to, well, it depends what, so-and-so dictates, or, the CEO or senior executive team. So it'll be curious, but I think there's a great opportunity, right? So if I go back to my prior point, if we allow individuals, if we give them the responsibility, if we empower them, we give them the opportunity to figure out, well, what's that best mix? And I think most people will, if they need to be at a client, they'll be at a client, and if it's safely okay to be at a client, they're going to be in the office when they need to be in an office. But I think they're going to handle their life differently.
Yeah.
I also am coaching a CFO, and he's looking at this like, we've not been into our physical environment for a long time. Do we need this? I'm looking at how much it's costing us. Do we carry that cost? Is there a better model? Can I reinvest what we're spending in physical infrastructure into trying to take advantage of some of the opportunities this is presenting our organization? And that's the other thing I think HR is going to have to jump into, because if you look at some of the research from past recessions or depressions, going back from like the 1900s, Harvard produced an article after the 2008-2009 crisis, and they looked at organizations, and they like 17% of them didn't make it, right? And then there was like 70% of them, did drastic things to their business in order to survive. So they went really solely on, cutting. Cutting costs, furloughing, laying off, not bringing people back. And it's those organizations that looked at both the financial aspects to making sure that they can survive and they're making prudent financial decisions, but they also sought out the opportunities. As Winston Churchill famously said, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah.
And that mindset and that question, when I'm working with our executive teams, is changing. It's changing how they're thinking about things. So they're looking at it from an opportunistic perspective, which I think is providing more energy than just being in this recovery period. And I'm hearing some really innovative things coming out of it, right? So where organizations would struggle to find talent locally, they would never have people work remotely. Now they're saying, well, what if we started recruiting from all over the United States?
Yep.
What would that do to your business? And they're like, their mind is blown. So there is opportunities, throughout the crisis.
Yeah, it's interesting for us because I feel like the We Are Rosie organization has been living in this future for the last 2.5 years, where we have said, if you are part of the Rosie community, we will meet you where you are and where you need to be, whether that's not going into an office, not living in a major market, being unable to travel. And we've just created this space for everybody to do their best work regardless. Yep. So it's really fascinating for me to see this opportunity for every organization on the planet to be thinking in this way. Like, what does it mean for our business if we tear down some of these kind of artificial barriers that we've put up to how work happens? And that's something that gets me really excited, because if we do this well and we do this right and we really pay attention as we do re-enter or re-emerge into the workplace, and we see people as whole human beings, as people that have a life outside of work, we're inevitably going to create a workforce that is happier. Happy people do better work. They contribute more to their families and their communities. And there's a ripple effect outside of just how we're working that is really exciting for me. And I hope that these big organizations can kind of make sure that they're taking the care and being really thoughtful in how they set this up coming back, and that we don't, because as humans, I think our nature is to just be like, we need something comforting. Like, how do we get back to how it used to be? But we can't do that this time.
Yeah. A lot of it wasn't working.
Yeah.
If you think about it, so why were you able to take that idea and that premise and so quickly, leverage that into something that's outstanding for your clients, and it's outstanding for the people that are part of the Rosie community? Right. So if it wasn't a natural fit, right, so the people love to do the work that they do and they're really good at it. You're giving them the flexibility of when and where and how they do that. And for the most part, I would say you probably don't have to monitor that process extremely close.
We don't have HR problems at We Are Rosie. I say it all the time. We don't.
Yeah. So what is, so what's the savings and, what's the opportunity cost there? A lot of organizations started with annual surveys, to try to get an understanding of what's the temperature, what's going on, what's the level of satisfaction, what's the level of employee engagement, what's the overall experience like for employees. And then they went to multiple times pulsing. Then they went to we're always listening and monitoring emails and chats and communications and trying to figure out what's the temperature within the organization. Now they're trying to figure out, all right, so what does that look like going forward? How do we figure out even just where people are at, right? What's the new baseline? And then what's the expectation, right? So we talk about, this, I think it'll continue to be an employees market, meaning that really talented people are going to be in need continually. And what is that experience that they want, right? And I think it's going to be personal. So I think the personalization of that, and you mentioned that before, I think you're so smart, is let them decide. Let them figure that, and I think organizations should help figure that out, help people figure that out for themselves. But you're like, let them engage with us and tell us what will work for them. So
Scott, one of the things I'm really excited to get your thoughts on, because I've been having a lot of conversations with marketing leaders and CMOs as they think about like the back to work strategy or reintegrating their workforce into some kind of normalized structure. And they certainly have plans and ideas, but I'm curious from you, like,
Sure.
Who has governance over the return to work strategy? Like, should each division leader, COOs, CHROs, CMOs, CTOs, all kind of make their own decisions about what works for their organization? Or do you think that there needs to be governance at the top that kind of guides everybody?
Yeah, I think there should be governance at the top. I think the first thing we have is the safety of our employees, right? So I think with that in mind, coming together in the room to make sure that the environment will be safe, whatever that looks like. I'm hearing that there'll be some temperature scans. I'm hearing physical distance protocols will be put in place. I'm hearing block scheduling, meaning, you may have half of a department in one day or a full department in one day, but another department on another day. So we're hearing various accommodations, but no one quite understands really what it's going to look like. I think the better question to ask is, how best do we perform our work? And when should we be physically together? And when is it okay for us to be working remotely? Because I still think there's times when having people physically together, is important, right? So if you think about, you meeting a client for the first time or building relationships, or maybe there's something that you're working on that's pretty complex and you'd like everybody to have undivided attention and be able to see, a huge whiteboard as you think through something very, technical or challenging. But otherwise, we've been working for 6 weeks remotely. So let's not forget that a lot of good work has happened over these 6 weeks. Probably some work happened faster. One of the questions we had asked are, say, who has done more to revolutionize what work, the future of work than, your CLO, your CEO, or Corona, right? And Corona comes out on top. You've taken organizations from being all physically present to now no one was going into the office in a matter of days, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it should be a collective response. But again, important is thinking about, the work and then backing into what would be best, and then also making some personal accommodations to people whose lives are not back yet. So they talk about if they're not going to open up schools, right? And you have school-age children, who's going to watch them if daycares aren't open? So we're going to have to be flexible.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, I think about that from a personal standpoint, right? I was looking at my husband. We have one of our daughters will be in pre-K next year. And I'm like, do we sign her up for school or just like throw in the towel on that? It's who would have thought that these would be the conversations that we're having? And it's going to be really interesting to see how organizations respond. And we're seeing across the board, some people are like, hey, I'm definitely not renewing my lease. Like, we're done forever. This is, we've proven that we don't need this. And then we have others who are like, we have a 10, 20 year lease. What do we do with that? Right. And in the advertising industry, that's pretty commonplace. And there are ad agencies who own entire city blocks. Real estate ownership is part of their portfolio strategy. And it's going to be interesting. I hope that they don't let that get in the way of doing what's best for their employees and the teams that are doing the work for their clients.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so Scott, one of the questions I'm really excited to ask you, because there is a lot of opportunity even in these crazy times, I think that we'll be able to get rid of some work practices that no longer serve us and frankly haven't been serving us for a while. What is one thing that you're really excited for us to kind of leave behind?
Yeah, I think we leave behind just what we used to do all the time. So physically coming in, right? So I'm looking at myself, I'm going to be more intentional on when I'm on a plane, and when I'm taking time out of the office or when I'm physically going into a client site, because all that takes time. And I realize that time is money. Time is being creative. Time is being more productive. And I'm always going to make the right call for the client, but I think I'm going to be a little bit more aware of making the right call for myself as well. And I think I would be at places where did I really need to fly in for this meeting? Was it that important? Could I have done that over the phone and saved about a day and a half in travel?
Right. I totally agree. That's something that I've really enjoyed, frankly. Being away from my family and traveling a lot was frankly like pretty brutal for the last 2 years. And just being present and grounded. And I've realized that you can still build relationships. You can still get to know your clients and move business forward. So I certainly hope that that's something that we reconsider. And also the sustainability of our planet and environment, right? That will hugely benefit from waiving flights to Singapore for a 2-hour meeting. So I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah, no, I am as well. And I just, again, I go back to the human experience. I hope it's better for each and every one of us, and that we're able to have a choice in how do I bring my best self to work every day? Mm-hmm. And, in a way that works for me in my totality, meaning my entire life, not just the work life, but the integration of my personal life. And really what the individual purpose is of that person, right? So what do they want to get out of things? And hopefully people are taking some time to reflect right now. But, we're resilient. And I just want to close on, this just once again shows how resilient people are and how we want to bond and come together. We want to support each other, whether it's our healthcare workers, our people that are in trucking or transportation or in our grocery stores. I sincerely hope that we always appreciate, no matter who we're working with, it's our colleagues, it's our clients, it's people in restaurant, whatever it is, just be more human, be more kind. That would be great.
I love that. I love to end on that message. I love your eternal optimism, Scott. It's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about our conversations. So thank you so much for sharing your time and working through all the tech challenges that we've had this morning. And I really appreciate you sharing your perspective with our community.
Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Have a good one, Scott.
Bye now.